So this is Fern. She looks very ordinary, and she's not particularly special, but she's special to me. And Fern is, I've put her in as a project bag, but you could use it for anything. And what is special about her is that I've got a recessed zip.
Fabulous.
Now, a recessed zip, sometimes people get afraid of zips, don't they? Never mind the ones that go in and how do you do it. And apart from all the things I've got in here that I've used for stuffing, which I'll just get rid of a second, I've got just one pocket, and it's an easy pocket. It's just a patch pocket. You can put a zipped pocket in if you want to, a letterbox or a zip pocket or a hanging pocket or whatever you want to do. But I've kept it simple just because the technique of putting in a recessed zip is a little bit different than a normal zip. So rather than take up too much time, but you can zhuzh it up as much as you want to. Now, there's a question for you that we had a little discussion about in work the other day. How do you spell zhuzh?
Well, it's got to start with a Z. Zhuzh. Z-H.
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 I thought, yeah, so if anybody knows definitively how you spell it, or even if it's a proper word, well, you can let me know. So this is Fern. And tonight, this Fern is made in with canvas and cotton on the inside. So I have only put in this one a bit of wadding, some H640. Tonight I'm going to make one from cotton outside and inside. So what I've put on the pattern is a little bit of lightweight stabilizer, some H250. I've put it in the handles because these handles are quite soft, but they're more sturdy because they're canvas. So I've put it in the handles. If you want to leave it out. Just go according to what you've used, fabric-wise, really. So, yeah, and I'm going to make this one. Let me show you. I didn't realise this until afterwards, after I picked it, cut it all out this afternoon, sorted it out. But look at this.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's Fern's, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is. No, you meant to do that. It was karma.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a serendipitous moment, shall we say?
Or a stroke of genius.
I'm going to pop her back there, and I'm going to pop all the stuffing down on the floor for the cleaner later, which is me. Yeah. So we're going to make Fern tonight. So pop in what you want to. I've done the photograph with a bit of hand sewing in it. Before I put some stuffing in there to show you, I had a bit of knitting in there. So what you will, but she's easy. She's easy. You'll enjoy making Fern. She won't take you long.
I think she's lovely. She's actually a very similar size to Amelia, isn't she? And that's been a really popular design because of the size.
Well, let me show you the size difference.
Oh, right, good.
Because I happen to have Amelia here.
Oh, yeah, and that's pretty too.
So you can see she's quite a bit smaller.
That surprises me. I mean, I should know the dimensions of Amelia, but I don't.
I can't. Well, it looks like here Amelia's about 14 inches wide.
Ah, right. Yeah,
This one starts off at 12 inches and comes out at about 11, just over.
Yeah.
And Amelia is 10 inches tall, and I think this one finishes off about 7 inches, 7.5 to 8 inches.
Oh, it's a lovely size.
I like to think of her as Amelia's little sister.
Yes. A smaller twin.
Absolutely.
Yes, really lovely. Right, where do we start, Kath?
We're going to start with the lining and the pocket because it's the easiest bit to do, and we're kind of going to leave the zip part until a bit later on.
Okay.
So the first thing to do on the pattern, and I've started this off a little bit because it's so simple. This is the pocket. It's just two pieces of fabric put right sides together. I've folded in, things coming up. I've folded in 1/4 inch on both of the pieces, and that will be the bottom.
Yeah.
I've stitched up, across and down, and I've turned it through. All right.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is top stitch the top of it.
Yes.
And then we're going to pop it onto the back piece of the lining.
Fantastic.
Well, it doesn't matter back or front. So whilst I'm sewing, Lizzie can do a bit of chatting or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to sew just this one seam at the moment. Well, not seam, top stitching.
Little bit of top
So
stitching.
here's the pocket, open bit at the bottom, as you can see.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just top stitch along the top because that will obviously be the top of the pocket.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to get on with that.
I'm going to welcome our new members for this week then, which of course,
welcome.
we've got a few because Nicola, as you know, every Thursday welcomes the new members in for everybody. So we're going to say welcome to Christina, to Maureen, Gloria, Mandy, Susan, Patricia and Jenny Joseph. So welcome to all of those guys into the group. We hope you'll have a lovely, lovely time in the group. It is the bestest place in the whole wide world. So welcome.
Well, welcome everybody. So that took exactly the right amount of time for me to top stitch. So all I've done is top stitch along the top there. You can see my cream thread there along the top stitch. I'm going to fold that in half. Actually, I've cheated. I have already folded it in half. I don't think you can actually see it. There's a little mark there that tells me where you won't see it. I can't even see it now.
Nice
It's
nails.
on the other side.
Nice nails.
There's a little mark there that tells me that is the centre. So what I've done to the lining is fold that in half as well, and I've cut a little notch out of that, and I'm going to line up the pocket, the top of the pocket, so the bit I've just top stitched, with that centre notch and the little mark on the pocket, 1 3/4 inches or so down. You know, it's not got to be dead accurate, but
it's good to have a mark, and then if somebody wants to move it, they can, can't they?
Absolutely, and it just needs to be straight. That's the main thing. If you do 1.5 inches, doesn't matter, but you know, it just needs to be straight.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is just pop a couple of pins in just to keep it there. What I've done on the original one is 2 rows of top stitching around just for a bit of decoration. I'm just going to do 1 on this one.
Okay.
Just for speed.
Yes, I remember reading that in the pattern cap.
Yes. Well, I did 2. I just thought it looked quite nice.
Yeah.
And it makes it quite sturdy. If you want to do 2, you can do 2. But I'm just going to top stitch from this side down, from there across, and from there up. So on the 3 sides, just top stitch and keep the scissors in place. The scissors in place. That was the scissors I placed over there. But as is this machine, every time I use it, it's absolutely fine. And whenever I get in front of the camera, the needle comes unthreaded.
Well, of course it does. It's called. Well, I was going to say what it's called, but we know what it's called. It's called.
We know what it's called. And we know it's called.
Sewer's luck. Sewer's luck.
So I'm going to get on and top stitch this then while you chat.
Because I've got something else. Because like the last 2 or 3 weeks, everybody knows that our TV special guest for when was it? January. was Gail from Endless Threads Designs, and one of the things that Gail did was to send me 4 patterns to give away. Now, of course, next week we have our new TV celebrity guests, and I don't do anything other than talk to them on that day. So I've got 2 giveaways today, and Kath might also have a little secret as well. Now, you know the idea. The idea is the more times you comment and say how wonderful Kath is doing, the more chances you'll have of being your name picked. It's called well, I don't know what it's called, but the more comments you make, the bigger chance you've got. So the patterns I've got is the Santa tree decoration, and that actually comes with stuff to make the Santa tree decoration. So that's one, yeah. And the other one is some red work, and we've got the cord for the to attach, but it's the little mittens. I know they're Christmas, but come on, we're always looking for things to do. Yeah, and even in the summer months. So I've got 2 to give away. Those are they. So like I said, the more comments you make, the more chances you'll have of getting those. So well done, everybody. Please say how lovely Kath is doing. Yes, and I'm just looking at the comments. Yes, welcome to all the new members. It is a treat having you in the group. I never ever, I'm never complacent about new people coming in. It's just the best thing ever. So yeah, welcome to them. Put your name down for lots of comments to get your name picked out for the giveaways. 2 of Back to Kath. Kath, what are you up to?
Well, I've stitched on the pocket.
Yep.
Pocket stitched on, easy peasy, all nice and simple.
Yep.
So for the there's lots of bits going on here. So for the lining, I'm going to put that aside for one for now, and we'll look at that again in a minute. Before I carry on, Lizzie's going to pick 3 winners of a giveaway, because I've got a giveaway tonight as well.
Yay! This
is a little fat quarter bundle, and you may or may not recognise it, but this is Sarah Payne fabric.
Lovely.
This is Elegant Peacocks, and it's absolutely gorgeous fabric, a really soft, really good quality. So same thing, if you win and you private message Lizzie, as long as you're happy, she'll give me your address and I'll post that out to you tomorrow.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kath. Lovely fabric.
That's my little giveaway. Everybody was just so welcoming and so lovely to me last time I did this that I was very much overwhelmed, and I thought I'd like to just give something back. So there we go.
And just to say a big thank you to Gail as well for all of the giveaways she's given us. I mean, it's just been wonderful.
Indeed, absolutely fantastic, isn't she? Isn't she talented?
Oh, she's just a lovely lady.
Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is to go on to the straps. So I've made one strap, so you can see that I've top stitched and that strap is all ready to go.
Yeah.
And I've left the other one to just show you what I was going to do. So I've had some clips on there. What I might do, Lizzie, is just to pop my camera down, I think, now I've shown that.
Okay.
And then you can have a look on my desk and my machine what I'm actually doing.
Okay. Ooh, very good.
How does that look?
That's fantastic.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's a problem, you'll have to shout out, but you'll have to shout loud because I won't hear you. So with the straps then, so this is the one strap, as you can see there, that I've finished. So I've actually put, as I said, some H250 on here. I adhered that onto there. Fold it in half and give it a press, and then fold the edges to the middle. Fold in half again and give it a press again. Now my top tip for today is when you press this, only press on that side so that isn't completely pressed into that crease, because I find when I sew that, if I've pressed this, they sometimes push over and I don't get them really nicely edged up.
Yes, good idea, good tip.
So I always sew the 2 edges, the one with a double edge first, and then when you sew the other one, the crease kind of moves along to where it should be somehow. It's magic.
Oh, see, that's a very good tip. Thank you for that.
Oh, well, there you go. We'll have a try and see what everybody thinks of that. So I'm going to just sew a top stitch down the 2 sides like I did on that one. And I'll be back with you in just a few seconds.
Okay. Well, of course, the other thing that's been going on over the last few days, I tell you, I'll stay out of shot so you can see and watch Kath, is that we have our new TV celebrity coming to see us next week. So we're going to be doing a Zoom like we always do. And there's been some fantastic clues. And I think there's been some that's involved money, they've involved dustbins, digger trucks, skips, and recycled, upcycled chairs. It honestly,
houses.
Yeah, it's been the clues have actually been sensational. Assuming you know who the guest is. So shall I tell you who the guest is, or shall we keep you waiting for a bit longer? Because I'm quite excited about this. it's a bit of a coup. It is. So if you want me to tell you now, I will. Or if you want to wait till the very end, I'll tell you then. You got to let me know. Perhaps you see the thing is you got to put you. Shirley says she never guesses the guest right. Cheryl says I've no idea of the guest coming. And Cindy said when you mentioned the tip, thought of the person on Money for Nothing. Rosemary says do tell. Gita says yes please. Yvonne says I think I've guessed it. Denise says yes please. Oh, there's a few yes pleases. I might tell you then. Are you doing something that we should know about now, Kath, or are you okay for a minute?
If you want to carry on, I'll just grab my things and get sorted, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm doing.
Okie dokie. Right, so the TV celebrity guest for next Thursday is... Oh, I was never good at drums. Is Jackie Joseph. Jackie Joseph. Yeah. Hello. She's an old mucker.
How exciting.
Yeah. She's fabulous. She is. She's a genuine, lovely lady. What you see is what you get. She can be a bit of a party animal, and I do have stories about Jackie that I may or may not share. But, but she is now on QVC and does a lot of presenting with Ladies Fashion. Nina Leonard. I know I get that right. Nina Leonard she does. She's a representative of that, plus others. She's also on Money for Nothing, so that's where she goes to the tip and she scrabbles around in people's boots finding things for upcycling, hence the chairs and the diggers and all of that. She's also on Homes Under the Hammer, and when I spoke to her on Monday or Tuesday, she was actually on her way up to Norwich to do a Homes Under the Hammer in Norwich. So if you watch that programme and you see her in Norwich in a few months' time, you'll know it's that week that she was our guest. And the other thing is, yes, she's also done Good Morning on a Sunday with who's the Irish fella, Kath? Gethin Jones.
Can't think of his name.
I think it's Gethin Jones, but
Gethin Jones.
Yeah, so she's
that's the Welsh chap.
Yeah. So she's done Sunday morning, proper BBC, proper grown-up stuff.
Proper telly.
Yeah, proper telly. So Jackie is our guest, and I'm going to get Jackie to talk about, her sort of when she's gone to the skip particularly, and what finds that she's done and how she has upcycled. Because I know she gives, like the programme is, they give them out to different people, but I want to know what she does, and she's got her own website as well, so we'll share all of that. And so I'm very, very much looking forward to Jackie Joseph next week. So I'll be putting a post out early part of next week for any questions you've got for her. So, right, over to you, Kath.
Okay, so what I've done then is my back and front outer pieces for the bag, which are there.
Yeah.
I've put on my... I've used H640, but you can use wadding or, whatever you want to do, really. It depends how soft and malleable you want the bag. If you want it, quite sturdy and rigid, you could use Decaville lights or 2 lots of H250 or just 1 lot of H250, but that's what I've done.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I've made the straps, and the pattern tells you how far to measure from the outside corner to here, 2 3/4 inches, I think, and then to put the strap centrally, I always like the double bit on the inside, put it centrally on the top of that. So I don't know whether you can see my mark.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
Very slightly.
Yeah,
and then I'm going to put that centrally on the top of there and pop a clip.
Okay.
And then bring it around so I don't twist it. Put it centrally on the other one as well, just there. Line the raw edges up, pop a clip on. And what I'm going to do, I've done that as well on the other side. So back or front doesn't really make much difference. They're both the same.
Yeah.
And what I am going to do is just baste across those so it makes it easier for me to handle a bit later on.
It's such a good idea, isn't it? Basting across.
Oh, it makes things so much easier when you're only handling what's then basically one piece of fabric instead of, multiple things.
Yeah, totally.
So here we go.
So basting, I mean, you could just use your regular stitch, don't bother changing it, or you could increase your stitch length to perhaps 4, because all you're doing is tacking it on. And I can see what Kath's doing. She's starting just before the strap, finishing just the other side of the strap. So, and within the seam allowance, which is always very important. So, yeah, excellent.
With this, I just... I did the top stitching on just about 3 and a bit, and so I've just left it on that for now. But yeah, start beginning and, start just before.
Yeah. Keeps everything straight, doesn't it?
You could go all the way down, doesn't matter, because as you say, it's at about an inch, which is in the seam allowance, so it won't be seen.
Lovely.
So that's the handles put on, those 2 now out of the way. And what I'm going to do now is to make up the outer bag. And then we're going to make up the lining. So we're just going down, sewing down those 2 sides and across the bottom.
Okay,
all right.
Yeah.
Now you'll see I didn't mention, but it does mention in the pattern when you're preparing your fabrics to cut out 2 inches. We cut the wadding smaller.
Yeah.
But when we're cutting out the squares for the boxed bottoms, we still cut out 2 inches, and then it comes to the really nice size. So if you do that before you adhere the wadding on,
perfect.
This is cut half an inch smaller in both dimensions, and then if you still cut out 2 inches, you've got that lovely little bit at the bottom. To be able to do your. So I am now going to. It's a little bit more sewing, so I'm going to be quiet so that you won't hear me if I'm stitching.
Okay.
And I'm going to stitch down the 2 sides, lowered my stitch length a little bit, and along the bottom.
That's
all right.
Fantastic. So of course the other thing is when you're putting a bag like this together, and if you've listened to what Catherine said about Catherine, big title, you've been naughty, is to cut the H640 exactly the same size as the bag, and then, as Kath said, trim away half an inch from one side and one, so the top, one of the sides and either the top or the bottom, and that way you lose a 1/4 inch on all sides, okay? And then you're still cutting away 2 inches from that wadding, and that makes absolutely perfect sense. And I know you might think, oh gosh, that's a waste. Well, if you can use a half an inch strip of wadding, I commend you. So I think that's the easiest and best way to do it, and it's you're making a cracking job of it, Kath. You really are.
Thank you. I'm so enjoying doing these demonstrations. It's just lovely to be able to share with everybody. I'm no expert, but it's just nice to sew along with people, isn't it?
Absolutely. And less of the expert, you're doing incredibly well. Your stitching is beautiful. And anyway, in my book, nobody's an expert, because we all learn one way or another. Every day we're learning.
Yeah. Absolutely, and we can all learn from each other. Okay, so I've just stitched down that side, along the bottom, so that's all done. Now I'm going to box those bottoms out. If you're familiar with making Lizzie's bags, you'll have seen this dozens and dozens of times, but just for those who haven't, this is my side seam, this is my bottom seam, and I'm going to bring those 2 together. Now you can either pop your seams to one side, or you can open them out. I like to pop them to one side only because it's what I've got used to. So I pop the bottom one to that side and the top one to this side, and then they snuggle in together. Pop a clip on, and then we're going to sew across that seam there.
Okay, 1/4 of an inch still.
1/4 of an inch still. Everything is a 1/4 of an inch. So just be careful. Do a couple of back stitches before, at the beginning and at the end, because these are going to have some pressure on them a little bit.
Fantastic. Loretta says that they get to see Jackie Joseph in the States as well. So she's truly international, is our Jackie.
Isn't she?
Yeah, she was my she was my second presenter on Crafting TV. But like I say, I have got one or two interesting stories about Jackie, which I will ask permission to share because they may not be shareable.
So I'm just doing the second one now, and then I'll show you what I've done.
Fantastic. And the other thing is, on Saturday morning, I'm going to see Tilly Rose, and I've got one of her books to get signed. So if I quickly show you on the gallery, because I don't know if anybody remembers that I said that I would do this as a giveaway just to everybody that had posted their pictures of their journals. So if they've done a January or a February journal page, and I know we're still working our way through those, if you post a picture, even if it's not finished, then you'll go into the draw to win Daydream Journals, which is Tilly Rose's brand new book. So when I see her on Saturday, I'm going to ask her to sign in there on the front page, somewhere on there, perhaps down here somewhere, to say, well done, love, Tilly Rose. I shall tell her what to put. I'm sure she'll be fine about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing her.
Good, that'd be great, actually. It'd be nice to catch up.
Yeah, it will.
So I've boxed the bottoms, sewn along the seam there, nice and neatly.
Yes, beautiful.
Sewn along the seam there. And then I'm going to turn it in the right way, or out the right way, whichever phrase you like to use.
Right way.
And there's my box bottoms, nice and neat. Can you see they nicely match up?
Very nice.
So that is at the outside of our bag. I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm actually going to do exactly the same now to the lining. The only difference is that I'm going to leave a turning gap in the bottom. So this is obviously the bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stitch down this side, down that side, and then about 1.5 inches either side to make it easier to box. And then I'll show you what I've done. But it's exactly the same makeup as the outside of the bag.
So while Kath is putting that together, I just want to say something about this pattern, because this is actually a brilliant pattern if you're a new stitcher, because I know she's going to be doing the zip shortly, and that'll be really interesting to see how she does that. But if you wanted to, you could make the bag up just like this without the zip at the top. And I know Kath has designed the bag with the zip, and I totally understand that, because you know a lot of people like to have that security. But you could, if you're a brand new stitcher or you're not confident with the zips, it's still that fear of putting a zip in, then I say leave it out. Make another one and have a go at putting a zip in. You wait till you see what Kath's going to do. It's really, really easy. So we'll just wait for that part, which is coming up very shortly, I know.
It looks a little bit complicated, and it's difficult to write down, succinctly. Yeah. But it's not difficult at all to do. You'll get the gist of it when you see it.
So somebody on Facebook is asking about you, Kath. And so I'll just give a brief synopsis of Kath.
Okay.
I think Kath joined the Gold Group about, I would say, 18 months ago.
But I think so, yeah.
About 18 months ago. And then a good year ago, probably maybe 14, 15 months ago, I can't remember, I was looking for an admin team, and Kath and I had already spoken about proofreading my patterns, because Kath does proofreading for a knitwear designer. So we got together, and she saves me hours and hours and hours of work, because she proofreads the patterns and she makes sense of the ridiculous words I put in the pattern. And we laugh because we know it's true. And one of the things that Kath loves to do, as you can tell already, is that she loves to share her knowledge and also her passion. That's what comes across. So Kath is a really, really, really good all-round stitcher, somebody that I trust with my patterns to do a cracking job. And we thought, well, quite a few months ago now, that having a third pattern put into the goal group every month was a good idea. And unfortunately for Kath, she volunteered. So, so Kath is stuck with the Mid-Month Madness. But also it means that it gives her an opportunity now to do this for everybody. And actually it's lovely for me because it gives me an evening off. I just sit here with a cup of tea and have a chat. It's lovely.
Oh, it's just lovely to be able to do it. You know, I've never dreamt of being able to do anything like this. And, you know, Lizzie, you've given me such opportunity that I've learned so much. And, you know, passion is the right word. I just have a passion for it. I just love it so much.
Yes.
So if I can just pass on any little thing or help anybody out, that's perfectly, you know, my perfect scenario, really. So it's great.
Yeah, it's lovely. We thank you very much for giving up your time.
My lining is exactly the same as the outer. So you can see it will stand up there, nice box bottom. And I'm going to leave it inside out.
Right.
Whilst I sort out the zip panels. I'm going to pop it to one side for a minute because I'm now going to come onto the zip panel.
Oh, better make you big on the screen.
Okie doke.
There you go.
So what we have is 4 panels. Now, I've cut out both of mine in the outer fabric simply because it's a little bit, I don't know, you can kind of see both sides of it. But if you want to do the inside of it in your lining fabric, then, you know, feel free. It just depends on how much you've got and what you want to be seen. So a word of warning here about directional fabric. We are cutting out, like we did for the box bottom. What can I put it up against? Can you see it if it's up against there?
Yeah.
Because I'm too dark for it. We're cutting out 1/4 inch. And it needs to be on the side. It is actually on the side where the zip is going to go. So if you want your zip to be, there's the zip's going to be in the bottom like that. So if you want this bit to be the top, then you'll need to cut out at the bottom. If you want that bit to be the bottom, then you'll need to cut out the other way round. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think it does. So what you're saying is it's the middle where the zip's going to go is where, do you have the design going out or do you have the design coming in, basically?
Exactly. It's choice.
Yeah.
I like, if I was using directional fabric, I'd want mine going that way because you kind of look into it.
Yes, yes.
So it's nice to have it upright.
Yes.
So that would mean then that putting these on the right side, that's all I'm saying is just be aware of how you want the fabric to look, because the bit that we've cut out is the bit that we sew to the zip. Now I've marked these because I wanted to show you as well, is teaching Granny to suck eggs probably. I wanted to show you as well that these are opposite. So if you put all your fabric on top of one another and cut all 4 of them out, they would be wrong.
Yes.
So what I've done is I've put 2 together, wrong sides together. I've already done it on this one.
Right.
And I've marked a line at 3/4 inch. And I'm just going to cut that out with the scissors. I might cut it out with a fabric scissors instead of a paper scissors.
Good idea. When you've got a minute, Kath, can you show Lorna what you did with the turning gap of your lining?
Yes, of course I can.
Because she missed that bit, even though I know we can all see it again afterwards. So she just missed that bit, and I said,
we can see it now.
Yeah.
So what I did with the lining is that I sewed down the bottom, down the side, down the other side, and along the bottom. I just sewed from the boxy bit.
Yes.
In about an 1.5 inches, 2 inches.
Yeah.
Then I left the gap.
Yeah.
And then I went on to sew the other bit about the same amount.
So then you folded over the edges.
Right. So what I don't know whether you can see, rather than get the iron on it, what I did was I had it away from me. Can you see that?
Yes.
And then I brought the top bit towards me by 1/4 inch and lined it up with where the stitching is and just creased it with my finger.
Right.
With my newly polished nails.
They look beautiful. They match your fabric.
Thank you. And then I turned it over. It doesn't matter whether that one unfolds or not. It's just the crease line that we want. I turned it over and did exactly the same thing. So bring this towards you by approximately 1/4 of an inch, and you can see where the stitching starts there, and press it. And then when you come to sew that up afterwards, you'll see exactly where your line is to stitch.
That's a
now,
great
I like
tip.
to hand sew them shut. Some people will do them on the machine, but if you're hand sewing with a ladder stitch, it's really nice to have that little crease line there already.
Yeah, it's very good idea. Very good idea.
That's the only reason I've done that. If you want to stitch it by machine when it's turned through already, that's absolutely fine. But I like to hand stitch, so I just like ladder stitch, to be honest.
Did you get your magic seam wand from Abigail, Kath?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I missed it all.
Really?
Yeah, because Wednesdays I'm at work and I just haven't got my magic seam wand. But I'm hoping she's going to keep me one. Is she watching?
Yes, I'll tell her anyway.
Abigail?
Yeah, I'll see if she's. If not, I shall message her immediately, Kath.
Absolutely. Okay, so I've got my zip, and these are 12 inches long, the same as the bag width is 12 inches. Obviously, this part isn't 12 inches, but I've got my zip about 13 inches because I like to pop the zip slider right out of the way. What I am going to do while I'm just chatting with you is just change to my zipper foot, because we're going to pop that on in a minute, and I'll show you how to pop that on. I had a mad panic this afternoon because I could not find my zipper foot anywhere.
Oh no, fatal.
It was in the exact right place that it should be. It's a bit of a shock to me. That was a bit of a shock to me.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do with the zip is the zip slider is facing me. So this is the front of the zip. Here's the slip slider here.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it to one side. And this is the right side of the fabric. And I'm using the side with the bits cut out.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to put that face down on the zip. Now, you can pin, you can clip, you can use quilter's tape, you can just go for it. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. We're matching up the raw edge of the fabric with the edge of the zip tape. Where's my other? There it is. And putting some clips on. So can you see that?
Yes.
So again, that's the right side of the zip and the right side of the fabric. And the cutty out bit is the one that I'm going to stitch, is the one side that I'm going to stitch to the zip.
Yeah, perfect.
So what I'm going to do is the opposite on the opposite side. So this side of the zip now, this fabric, I'm going to put right sides to the zip again. And I'm going to line those two cutty out bits. That's the technical term. Okay?
I love it.
Going to line those up and move my clip so that my three bits are together. My little sandwich. That's the back, that's the back of the zip and the right side of the fabric. This is the front of the zip and the right side of the fabric. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, total sense.
Just like you were doing with as putting a zip in a bag with a lining.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Only this is easier because I've got my zip longer and there's nothing in my way. There's no bag to hold, there's nothing. It's really, really simple.
Fantastic.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do with my zipper foot on is I'm going to stitch all the way, messages. Stitch all the way along the zipper teeth, and it's, as you've said so many times, and you're right, it is so much easier to stitch along the side where the coil is outwards.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So I'm going to sew down there with my zipper foot.
Everybody is saying how much they love your instructions, Kath. Very clear. They also,
brilliant.
Yeah, they also said they love your pattern, your actual patterns as well. They've all been absolutely super. They totally understand. Mary's saying perfect to anything that you've said. Sandra said that there's also many tips, and she said she started taking notes of things. Karen says you're a pro, Kath, and very generous to have a giveaway when you're giving us your time and experience. Jackie says she loves the technical term of cutty out bit.
outfits.
And Jane says, yes, you can watch it back as it stays in the group. Yeah, I mean, this is a Facebook Live, even though we do it by Zoom because it means I can make Kath big. So it always stays in the group. And of course, as everybody should know by now, it actually gets put in on the website as well within about 10 minutes of it finishing. So, yeah. And everybody's saying they love the colour of your nails as well.
I keep saying it's like a dusty pink, but it looks brown in some lights and it looks dark in others, so I've got value for money. It changes colour.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've sewn along the zip. I think you can see my stitch in there. And if I open that out, you'll see the zip in the middle, just as if you were doing it with a piece of outer and a piece of lining.
Fantastic.
Exactly the same. What I'm going to do now is fold these fabrics back as much as I can, both of them, like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to press and I'm going to put some pins because we want to really marry up these edges. All right. I did say on the pattern, putting the zip in, that to marry up those cutty out bits. I'll tell you a little secret. If it's a couple of millimetres out, it's not going to matter because we're trimming it later. But if you can marry them up, all the better. But these raw edges do really matter because we want to pull this fabric away from the zip coil as much as we can because we're going to top stitch. All right, so I'm just going to pop the iron on there for a second. It's just by my side on my little desk here.
Oh, so Pat's saying, what is the tool that Kath wants from Abigail? Okay, I'm going to put myself on screen just for a moment so you can see what I'm talking about. So it's the magic seam wand. There we go. It's the magic seam wand. It was actually on the craft store today with White Gecko, if you know who they are. They're going to be a guest of mine in a couple of weeks' time on my Lizzie Curtis page. And they were using the magic steam wand. And it's very similar to using the clapper, where the wood takes the heat away from what you've just ironed, but also use it as it is to open up little seams. And you can get the sharp end, if you like, which isn't really sharp. You can see it there. You can put that in between the seams and push them out. So it's called June Taylor Magic Seam Wand. And Abigail's going to now save one, especially for Kath. Thank you very much.
Oh, bless her. Thank you, Abby. Thank you. Fantastic. So I can do my little trick with my turning gap then.
Yes.
Okay, so I've top stitched down. That's the front of the zip, and I've top stitched, you can see there, right as close as you are comfortable with at the edge. All right. I'm going to keep my pins in the raw edges for a minute, just out of the way, while I do the other half of the zip. So the other half of the zip, I'm going to face it towards you a little bit. This is the front of the fabric, again, the right side, and these are the cutty out bits.
Right.
And they are going to go, this right side fabric, line up the edges again, here.
Yeah.
And it's going to go that way this time. And line up the edge the other side. Actually, I've not lined that up very well. It's difficult working backwards.
I don't know why, as demonstrators, we always put things in the most awkward positions because we're trying to get it so everybody can see, and yet yourself, you don't see. You can't see, or it's so awkward.
I tell you what I'll do, I'll pop it on and then I'll show you again what I've done.
Bridget and Rachel said they're loving your zip demo.
Oh, good. I'm glad you are making sense of it, or I'm making sense of it. So we have the front of the zip. Where's my zip slider there? We have that over there.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to turn it over. And if I can find my other piece of fabric, yeah, it's on my lap. I'm going to line up right sides down again, okay?
Yeah.
And line up those edges and pop the clips in. And this is just a straight seam because there's no zip slider to fuss about, you know? Yes. You haven't got any worry about it. So there again, so you can see then I've got the two bits.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stitch all the way down there, down the edge of that zip. All right.
Yes, it's really lovely and easy when that slider is out of the way, Kath.
Oh, it is. It's so much better. Absolutely, you know, life-changing.
Lorraine says she can't wait to make this bag. Love this so much. Thanks, Kath and Lizzie. Jeeta's saying, love all your tips, Kath.
Oh, brilliant.
Pat says, yours make it look so simple. And Susan says, thank you. There's lots of room on the pattern to write notes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You should see mine. It's all scribbled over.
And Patricia says, could you use this zip method to any bag top? Well, a bag top like this, yes.
If it's a similar sort of bag, absolutely you can. Yes. Yeah. So again, I've pushed the fabrics back so they are wrong sides together. There's the other one, the first one I did.
Yeah.
And I've got exactly the same that side. So I'm now going to sew all the way down here, top stitching again. I'm just going to give it a little press because it makes it easier to top stitch.
Yeah.
And we do want those edges, those raw edges, to be right on top of one another.
Yeah.
For what we're going to do in a few seconds. So I'm just going to put a pin in there as well, stop them moving about. And I'm just going to top stitch down that side. Actually, I'll go that way, it's easier. I've still got my zipper foot on for a moment, but I absolutely love the zipper foot on here. It's so tiny.
It is actually, that was always my favourite foot, which sounds ridiculous. But it is lovely, isn't it? It's very different to a normal zipper foot. But I used to love having mine on.
It is. It's fantastic. So there we have our zip panel. Okay?
Yep.
There's 2 edges there and 2 edges there. So that's our zip panel. So what we do next, I will leave those pins in actually for a minute. What we do next is I want to open this zip just a little way. So I'm going to bring the zip slider in, but I also want to secure that little zip to stop it moving about. Okay? So I'm going to put a few stitches with my machine across the coil there, just 2 or 3 times across so that it actually stays closed.
Yeah, good idea.
It's much easier to work with if your zip is secured. So I'll snip my ends off because if Abby's watching, she'll tell me off if I don't. So I've just secured the zip there and the zip slider is here.
Lovely.
So as you can see, if you open the zip.
Super. Yeah.
All right.
Lovely and neat.
Okay, so now what we have to do this next bit is to make this panel a shaped panel, and that's why we've cut out our 3/4 of an inch at each side. So lie your zip panel flat on your table, bring the one closest to you up towards the zip and the one furthest away from you up towards the zip. So that side and this side are staying down just for a second.
Okay.
And we go to the end, the little short end. Here's the zip. So we've made the end. And we're going to pop a pin in there. Okay? And then we're going to do exactly the same with the other end. So bring the one layer up. Bring the second layer up and line up those 2 tiny short ends. They're only about 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
Okay? And pop a pin in there.
Right.
And then these 2 flappy bits here the other side, we're going to do exactly the same as we did before. So you bring it up and match up the ends. Now, that's probably the trickiest little bit. Well, there is one little tricky bit otherwise. So if I show you again, this one side, this other side, bring it up together. Can you see how that goes?
Yeah, perfect.
And line them up nice and square and pop a pin in, which we'll take out in a minute. So we have one that side of the zip, one that side of the zip.
Yep.
Can you see?
Yep.
The other end, we have exactly the same. So we are going to stitch along those 4 little short pieces.
Okay.
So they'll be seamed, okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to pop them under the machine and do that, and then I'll show you how it looks. Make sure you keep your zip out of the way so it's not... I've still got my zipper foot on, but it doesn't matter.
No, it's like I say, it's a lovely foot, isn't it?
Yeah.
So some people have asked about the magic seam wand, and somebody has said it's out of stock on Abigail's website. Well, I've just messaged Abigail. She's putting more stock on. Fingers crossed. She said, "Hold on, Mum," like that. So, so I'm hoping she's going to put some more stock on. So if you give her a little while, because I think her husband and her boys have just come home from work, so she's engrossed in making their tea, I think, at the minute. So hopefully she'll put some more stock on, because they're really good little tools, actually.
So I've just got one more to do, and then I'll show it to you.
Fabulous.
Whoops, got to get the zip caught in the machine workings here. So I need to push it out of the way.
Right.
It's quite easy to do.
She's put some more of those magic seam ones on her website. There's only 30. Shipping will be next week, in case anybody's interested. I'll save one for Kath.
Save one for me. There we go. So my zip slider is safely inside now, so it can't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have got seam either side of the end of the zip there.
Yeah.
And I've got a seam either side of the other end of the zip as well.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you can trim this little bit of zip off here as well, just to make it a little bit easier. Just to about 1/2 inch from the end. But we are going to trim it a little bit more afterwards, but I just want to show you how to do this. So here we have the one end of the zip, and that seam that we just sewed up is just at the bottom, and that seam with the zip in the middle. Now, what I want to do is to open up the both seams just with your fingers, and I'm going to line that seam with the zip slider. Can you see what I'm doing?
So it's right in the middle of the zip teeth then?
Right in the middle of the zip teeth.
Yeah, brilliant.
And the back one, I'm going to open up and pull it. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to trim that zip a little bit more so that I can put my zip on to hold it, and then I can show you better.
Yeah.
So what we've got is a little bit like a triangle shape.
Yeah.
If I've brought that seam that was coming out this way,
Yeah.
down to the zip teeth, and you can see it's centered with the zip teeth.
Yeah, I can
Then
see
on
that.
the other side is exactly the same.
Fantastic.
Make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Very, very
So
clear.
we've kind of got a triangle shape, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew 1/4 inch in right across there, just like a boxed bottom of a bag.
Brilliant.
The only difference is that you've got a bit of a zip in between. So just ignore the zip and just sew across. As I say, it's only as wide as the zip itself, so it's very easy to do.
And because you're using a nylon zip, Kath, you can easily stitch over the zip teeth, can't you? With a metal zip, I'd say be very cautious. I would jump over the zip teeth if they're metal.
I would too. Jump over the zip teeth. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to come undone.
No.
Just lift your needle and push it forward and jump across. It won't come undone. But it's better that than having your your needle broken or your machine damaged just because you've gone over the metal zip.
Yeah.
So we've stitched across. Okay.
Yep.
We've got the zip sticking out a little bit. We've stitched across, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So if you missed it, just watch carefully. I'm going to the zip on the top. The panel on the top. I'm going to open that seam, the side seam.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just press it down to make triangle sides and to bring that seam right into the center. Turn it over do exactly the same thing with the other seam. Open it up, pop it onto the zip coil, and it will sit in the centre. Okay?
Brilliant.
I'm not going to put a clip on now because I'll only take it off.
Yeah, I do the same.
I'm just going to stitch along. Still go careful over your zip though.
Yeah, so you always be careful, always be respectful of your machine.
Okay, so I've got some funny shaped doobry with a zip in the middle.
Looks like a boat, a canoe, in case they have more rain.
I'm now going to cut off all that excess. So all you're left with is 1/4 of an inch seam. Really neat.
Fabulous.
And the same the other side. Now I'm going to read you what I've put in the pattern for this, because to me I couldn't make out what I read, how I could say it. So let me tell you exactly what I mean. Trim the zip. I got pull the back panel towards you. So if this is the front panel towards me, and this is the back panel, it says pull the back panel towards you. So if you just flip it like that, you've got a boat.
Oh yes. Perfect.
Shall I do that again?
Yeah, we might all need one of those shortly.
I couldn't think of a better way of putting it on the pattern. So where it says pull the back panel towards the front so wrong sides are together,
yeah,
this is what I'm doing. There's the front panel, and I'm pulling that so the wrong sides are together. And if you work your way around, put all the wrong sides together, you land up with your zip panel and your zip in the middle. And there you have your little boxed bottoms with the back of your zip.
Perfect.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do, if you want to, you can actually baste those two raw edges together now, because they're going to stay together. I didn't, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the lining and then I'm going to baste.
Yeah.
All right, so we take our lining again. We've still got the lining inside out. And I'm going to pop my zip panel, so that's how it sits,
yeah, inside
my lining.
So like all those top raw edges are going to be put together then?
All of them are going to be put together, and all the side seams, so the two panels and the side seam of the lining, they're all going to match up. So I'm going to put a clip in that side.
Yeah.
Just forget you've got a zip. And I'm going to line those up with that one and put a clip in that side. And then if you hold your breath and you pull,
it should fit.
It should fit.
Oh.
But it only fits if you hold your breath. But you have to promise to breathe out after about 3 seconds.
Oh, that's where I might fail, because I'd be holding my breath the whole time, because things could go horribly wrong in my house.
So just pull at the sides. Once you've got the sides seams lined up, pull at the sides and you can clip or pin. Now, I've put on the pattern that you can see you have 3 raw edges. You have the bag lining raw edge and the 2 sides of the panel, a raw edge each. All right, so you've got your three raw edges to line up, and your zip slider is facing you.
Fantastic.
And I'm going to quickly baste around here just to make it easier when we put it with the main bag, the outer panel, okay?
Yeah.
So over to you for a second.
Yeah, and I love the way that that Kath has demonstrated this, because I think reading the pattern is good, and when I read the pattern I did understand it. It was all fine, very clear. However, when you watch a video, there'll be bits that you might think, oh, I just need to see that bit again. I just need clarification. Because when you look at that now, what you've got is your lining, and then you're looking at the right side of your zip. Now that might not make any sense to you when you look at it, because you think, well, no, hold on a minute, that should be in the outer bag, not the lining. So, but I get exactly what Kath's done, but it perhaps, at first glance, it perhaps wouldn't make any sense. So having the pattern to reread, and do read it first. In fact, I would read it first before you start. And then watching the video. This video will always be available in the Facebook group. And it will be always available in the projects page on the Gold Members page in the website. So you'll never have that to worry of wondering how to do something. It's always there for you. And Kath's made a brilliant job at telling us how this all works. Marge says, as soon as you said boxy bottoms, Kath, she totally understood what you were doing.
Yeah. If you were to see inside, I can come through the little turning gap and show you that there we have the bottom of our zip and my little boxy bottom.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so that's all one piece of fabric now. It's all sewn into the lining, basted in, and you've got your zip. So now the very, very, very important thing to do is to open that zip.
Oh, yes.
Right across, all open.
Yeah.
And then you can see inside your lining. You can see where my pocket is, just up there.
Fabulous.
And you can see inside your lining. And we're going to put the outer bag in through the zip.
Right.
Okay, so this will be a little bit different for everybody. So I'm going to put, with the handles down inside, like this, I'm going to put all this inside the lining, through the zip.
There's always a reason why we do weird things in our sewing, and this may not come natural to you. You might think you have to do it the other way around, but if Kath says put it through the zip, then that's what we do.
So what we've got basically is we've got the right side of the zip. Remember, the zip side was on the top, the right side of the lining and the right side of the fabric all coming together. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did putting in the panel into the lining. Is we're going to match up the side seams.
Yeah.
And you see what I'm doing. If I'm out of shot, just let me know.
No, you're perfect.
Okay, so match up those side seams. And again, 3 seconds, hold your breath. Oh, it's
Not again.
Make sure your handles are down in. It's not difficult. It's just making sure all the bits and pieces come together and that the handles are right down inside. I'll put clips on this bit and then I'll put pins, because we don't want anything creasing up and we don't want things out of line. We want all those raw edges all coming nicely together. Make sure your handles are right down inside. I'm sorry that I'm moving about a little bit.
No, it's perfectly understandable. I mean, when you consider that you'd probably have that the other way around facing you if you were doing this without an audience.
Absolutely.
Elaine says, do you need the zip open? Yes, you do have to have the zip open, Elaine.
I can't stress how important it is to have the zip open.
Yeah.
If you were to try and put the outer bag in, you wouldn't get it in.
No.
So you do have to have the zip open and all the way around. Not just a little bit, but right the way around, okay?
Yeah.
And now I'm going to shorten my stitch length again, and I'm going to sew all the way around the top.
Sandy says, I hope constant use of this video won't wear it out.
I shouldn't think so. And if it does, let me know. I'll do another.
Yes. Holly says, looking forward to making my boat.
Yes, absolutely. You can tell everybody that you watched the video on how to make a canoe and we did it within the hour.
Yes, absolutely. Oh dear.
So I'm stitching all the way around through all those layers. So we have the layer of the lining, the 2 layers of the panel and the layer of the outer, and just stitch all the way around.
And it's
and
a
then we're
lovely.
just one step away from finishing.
I'm going to say it's a lovely feeling, isn't it? Doing this last little bit, and considering all the steps that you've gone through, and it doesn't feel like you've done a lot, but you have. And within, well, we're 10 past 8, but considering we nattered for 15 minutes, that within the hour, that's brilliant. And we're not expecting everybody to go hell for leather and knock it up in an hour, because that would say almost always impossible. It's just that we know we have to do this quickly. But when you come to this last stage and you know that you've done everything that you should have done to help people make the pattern, it's just such a lovely feeling.
It is, and we've got one little bit to do. No, 2 little bits to do. I don't have to do either to show you how to do them, because you know how to do them. We're all stitched all the way around the top, okay?
Fantastic.
Don't worry if it's not the neatest stitching you've done, because you're not going to see it.
Hurrah.
So we have our turning gap, and we're going to start pulling everything through the turning gap. Just like as if that zip wasn't there.
So now then, who asked? I think it was... Yes, Jeanette said, would this work with faux leather? Well, I think it would, Kath.
It would, indeed it would. It would, because the faux leather is nice and soft.
Yeah.
And so if you want to put a little bit of light wadding in it, if you're making it in faux leather and you're doing a cotton lining, put your wadding onto the lining instead of onto the leather.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
And that would be fine. So you can see what I've got here. I've got a little bit of a jumble, because I've got my outer coming out here, with my boxed bottoms coming out. Then I've got the zip, and then I've got the inner. So I'm going to pretend, because I'm going to do it later, I'm going to, that's sewn up, and I'm going to pop my lining inside.
Are you actually, Kath, are you actually going to stitch that turning gap?
Now, that's a loaded question. If I was to answer honestly, I would just show you up, Lizzie. So I'm going to have to say, no, of course I won't.
Oh, well done.
So there's our bag. Our zip is sticking out, but we're going to tuck it in. You can close it up if you want to, just to tuck it down. And perhaps I won't do this, but I'll just put a photo on the page afterwards. What we're going to do then is I'm going to give it a good press, cut all my little ends off, and we're going to top stitch all the way around. And I'll show you on the other one how that makes it so much nicer. It makes that zip panel sit down inside.
Yes.
Because you've top stitched all the way around, can you see?
Yeah, it does as it's told then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not going to waste everybody's time now, because you can see what's happened. I've popped that down inside. There's my little bag. I'll just pop the camera up a little bit, a minute. Hello. There's my bag. And what I'm going to do afterwards is just top stitch all the way around there. So I'm going to roll it in my fingers, I'm going to press it, and then I'm going to put my clips on, and all the way around. So over the top of the handles, that will make them extra strong as well, if you want to put all your gold bullions in. Push the zip right down inside and have the seam right on the top. Work it with your fingers and just put your clips on. And that will make everything sit down nice and tidily, nice and neatly, and it'll look absolutely super.
It looks lovely. Is that Stuart's fabric?
It is.
It looks really nice, doesn't it? Really gorgeous fabric.
It's really smart, isn't it? And
yeah.
I didn't know quite what to do, because I like to have a light lining. And so I thought, oh, that looks really nice. And one of the reasons why I like I liked it is because it's not directional.
Yes.
Why make life difficult? You know?
I absolutely sit in that camp, yeah.